These videos are brought to you by His Vessel Academy. Check us out at hisvesselacademy.com.
So today we're going to do part 2 conversion. Did you ever notice that there was a boatload of food and drinks that every single one of them have different units? Like this one alone has fluid ounces, milliliters, pints, gallons, and liters. So we're going to talk about conversions. And when you talk about conversions, there are basically two measurements that equal each other. 1 dozen equals 12 donuts, 1 minute equals 60 seconds, 1 day equals 24. And as long as the two units equal each other, they actually equal 1. It's just like putting over 2 over 2. So 1 minute equals 30 seconds and 60 seconds, and 60 seconds equals 1 minute, so therefore they equal each other, and therefore they equal 1. So that's the reason why we can have them 60 seconds over 1 minute and 1 minute over 60 seconds, because you know they equal each other. So we're going to try one, okay? We're going to do 1 day equals how many seconds. So it says how many seconds are there in 1 day? First thing I want you to notice is there is 1 day. So we're going to put 1 day here. And I always like to put the seconds down here so I know where I'm going, because I know I'm going to put seconds here, okay? And remember we have this little thing going where we have, where if it's in the numerator, then it has to be in the denominator. That's basically what it is. There's nothing here, by the way. You can just put a 1 underneath if you want to. But typically when we start with something, we just start with that one item. It's this part in here that helps a lot. So how do we get from 1 day to seconds? Well, let's see, we want to try with hours, right? So we'll do like 1 day equals 24 hours. Okay? And so we know hours goes here. And so if I'm going to hours, I'm going to need some minutes in here, right? So that helps, and that way I can kind of see where I'm going. So 1 hour equals 60 minutes, and 1 minute equals 60 seconds. So in this particular equation, you'll notice that I'm multiplying 1 day, 1 times 24 times 60 times 60, and in the denominator I have 1 times 1 times 1, so I'm not actually dividing anything. So when you run that through a calculator, you will notice you get 86,400 seconds. So try it and see. But you'll notice that I am canceling off of my days, I'm canceling off my hours, I'm canceling off my minutes. The only thing I have left is seconds. So you may have to use more than one conversion. So we're going to be doing more than one conversion today. So let's try this. How many yards are in 5 miles? So we're going to start with my 5 miles. Okay, there's my miles. And a lot of times this box actually looks like the first one. And I'm going to start with, and I'm going to end with yards. Okay? But I do like to make sure you understand that that is in the numerator, because obviously all whole numbers are like 5 over 1, that equals 5. And 16 over 1, that equals 16. So that's the only reason why I set it up that way. So we know we're going to have miles here, and we know we're going to have yards here. So we have to figure out, how do we get from miles to yards? What conversion do we have here that will give me what conversion do I have for miles? Looks like I have this one right here. I have feet. So we're going to put feet here, and we're going to put feet here. So let's go ahead and then start filling out what we have. We have 1 mile equals 5,280 feet. We have 3 feet equals 1 yard. So it looks like we're going to do some multiplication, but we're also going to do some division. So we would do 5 times 5,280 times 1. And then we would divide that by 1 times 3, which is basically 3, so that would be divided by 3. So go ahead and put your answer there. We'll get back to that one. I want you to try the 2 weeks, so we're going to put our 2 weeks here. And we want to get to how many minutes 2 weeks is. So remember, if you're going to use 2 weeks, you're going to use days, minutes, hours, those kind of things. So go ahead and see if you can do this one. And then we're going to do how many seconds seconds are in 4 hours. So we're starting with 4 hours and we're ending with seconds. So go ahead and try that. And I want to make sure you understand we're going to do this. I'm just going to fill in the easy ones for you because those are always going to be your easier ones because they have to, this one has to be in the numerator because it's in the numerator here. This one has to be in the numerator and denominator so we can cross it off. Okay? Alright, so good luck. Pause the video. Alright, for those of you that aren't there yet, we have the weeks. So we would go to days. Days would go to hours. And hours would go to minutes. Notice that there's always a numerator and always a denominator. So you'll notice that the previous one moves down there for my denominator. And this one moves down there for my denominator. And this one here moves there for the denominator. So it's always switching sides, okay? It's always switching positions. It's starting in the numerator, it ends in the denominator. Got it? For this part. So we would do weeks, and there are, so that's 2 weeks, but there is 20, let's see, how many days? There's 7 days in 1 week, right? We have to make sure we have this. And there's, in 1 day, there is 24 hours. And in 1 hour, there is 60 minutes. Again, we're looking at having 1 times 1 times 1 in my denominator, so everything is going to be multiplied. For this one, I'm having hours, and I'm going to do minutes, and here's minutes here, because I need to make sure I have this to that, okay? So 1 hour equals 60 minutes, and 1 minute equals 60 seconds. So again, I have all multiplication ones. So only the first one had a division. So go ahead and plug those through your calculator, see how well you do. And there's my answers. A little bit neater. Hopefully that helps. And I want to do one more. If you don't need any more practice, great. But we're going to do converting 600,000 inches to miles. So the first thing I want to do is I want to write down this 600,000. And I'm just going to write inches below it. But remember the inches go here. And I'm going to have miles here. So all I'm looking for in this case is how am I going from inches to miles? Like, what is my miles here? And I'm looking here, and I can only see, oh, by the way, I did forget 1 meter equals 100 centimeters. It's on the next slide, but it's not on this one. Anyway, I have this 1 mile, and it equals 5,280 feet. And this one here, if I think about it, is the 12 inches equals 1 foot. So we have a conversion that has the same units. So this would be feet. So I would have 12 inches equals 1 foot. 5,280 equals 1 mile. So this case, I have this big number here that I'm going to divide it by 12 and then divide it by 5,280. Be careful of your calculators. Don't put 2 divides in there. It messes it up. But do them individually. Or multiply the 2 of them and then divide it. But you can then you do that, and you can do that too. You could do the 600, find out what, I can actually do that really quick. 5280 times 12 would actually give me, let me write it down, 63360. So I could multiply those 2, and that's another way of doing it. You can actually multiply everything in the numerator and everything in the denominator, and then divide the 2. So we'll do this one. See if you can do it alone. If you haven't figured it out yet, we'll just do it together. 225 kilometers, and we're so that's going to be kilometers here, and we're dealing with inches. So this will be a little bit harder because we're going to figure out how are we going to get into, because one is standard and one is metric, and this right here is the only conversion I have for metric. So since this is going to be inches, this must be centimeters. And since this is centimeters, there's another centimeter right there. So that goes to meters. And there's kilometers and meters. So we'll now can fill in my numbers. I have 1 kilometer equals 1,000 meters. 1, 2, 3. I have 1 meter equals 100 centimeters. And I have 2.54 centimeters equals 1 inch. So this case, I'm going to multiply that top, those three top numbers, the 1,000, the 100, and the 0.225, divide that by the 2.54. So go ahead and try that with your calculator. Last one we're going to do is you're going to do this 3 gallons. If you feel like you can do it alone, great. So we're going to be doing 3 gallons. I'm just going to write it up here. And then I'm going to write ML. And I'm going to write my ML here. I'm going to write my GAL here. You notice that again, I'm putting them in this order. I want to make sure that my final does start in the numerator. And I now have to find out what is in gallons that's also in milliliters. And it looks like it's quarts. So we're going to put QT here. QT. Alright, now I just have to put in my numbers. It looks like there's 1 gallon, 4 quarts. There is 1 quart, and that's 946 milliliters. And I just have to multiply those for 3 numbers, and then I'm set. Alright, hopefully that helped. I'm going to go ahead and switch to the next slide. It's a little bit neater. So we would then make sure, and I want to make sure we understand something. These are going to cross off. These are going to cross off. Notice that I have it, because I have feet. Remember, we talked about this, feet over feet equals 1. And I'm left with miles, which is what I have here. Kilometers is the same thing. I'm going to get rid of these 2. Notice that I'm crossing 1 off, because kilometers over kilometers is 1. Meter over meter. Centimeter over centimeter, I'm left with inches. I want to do the same thing here, and that's going to be gallon, gallon, quart, quart, I'm left with milliliters. Okay, and that's how that works. Hopefully that helps, and you now know how to do more than 1 unit for conversion.
At His Vessel Academy, we offer live interactive classes as well as some self-paced courses. Visit hisvesselacademy.com for more information and register today.